How do you go from a life where you are in the spotlight, where you are, in the NFL, you're an Olympic skier, you're doing all this great stuff, and you need to figure out what's next?
So that was my biggest fear. I remember thinking to myself, what's my life gonna look like after sports? That fear drove me to plant a ton of seeds. I was kind of defined by football and skiing, and I wanted to break through that definition and do something completely different. An idea can only take you so far. And really, to move that idea into action, you need to bring in the right team. I found a co-founder that understood the technology side of the internet space, which I didn't. And that's kind of how I was able to make my move from being kind of an athlete to an entrepreneur, by finding somebody that complemented my skill set.
You started Integrate when?
In the fall of 2010.
How did you even think to look at this space?
So what we saw is an eventual consolidation of media. If you wanted to run TV advertising, there's these 1,000 companies you work with. But if you wanted to run radio advertising, there's these 1,000 companies. And so what we wanted to do is build an open source platform where brands and agencies can run TV, radio, print, display, mobile, all of their advertising suite through a single interface, which creates a lot more operational efficiency for the brand and a lot less time and effort and work.
When you start a business, you put yourself out there. You are unabashedly saying, I'm giving this everything I have. I'm trying absolutely my best to succeed. How do you put the fear aside and just execute?
Don't ever let fear get in your way of becoming great. The true character of somebody comes out in the scariest of times, in the most fearful times in your life. And it's how we manage against that and leverage it to put more wood in the fire to take it to the next level.
What happens if it doesn't get to the next level? How do you think about that? Because you made this transition. You went and started a company and it is successful, and that's awesome. What would have happened if it wasn't?
Well, I've failed more times than I've won in my life, right? I feel like if something doesn't work out, but you learn what your mistakes were in that situation, then it's not really failure. The lowest moment of my life was at the 2006 Olympics. I felt unbeatable, and I made a small mistake on my final run. And I knew that I made a mistake. I knew that, I wasn't going to win the gold. And I went to my hotel room and just bawled. Anytime I have those types of situations in life, I have a rule where I take 48 hours to deconstruct everything that happened. And then once that 48 hours hits, I'm completely moving on.